I thought I would do a much needed video, I think, for me at least, showcasing all my current collection of coloring books, which you can now see on screen. As you can see, it is not too big, but let's put this in perspective. I've been coloring now for 1 year. My first books were gifted to me Christmas last year, so this has ballooned a bit in a single year. And most of these are mine. There are 2 that are not, that I'm just having in my collection, that are my partners, that either I or family have gifted them. You can see the spines of most of them. Obviously, the ones that I've gotten with Amazon paper don't really have names on their spines, and I've gotten a couple of others that you can't really see. So I figured I would go through all of them, kind of say why I decided to pick up a book or how I got it, if not, and maybe showcase some of my finished pages. And yeah, I figured this was necessary because in the new year, I would really love to participate in some buddy colors. And to do that, you kind of have to have the same book as your partner, which means I need to be able to showcase, hey, these are my books. So this is an open invitation if you'd like to buddy color with me next year and have any of the books I showcase in this video, then drop me a DM on Instagram. My handle there is MyStarseed, as it is on most platforms where it hasn't been taken for me. So let's get started. Starting with my Johanna Basford books. World of Wonder was actually one of 2 of my first books that I got for Christmas of last year. This is also the book that I've done the most in, with plenty of finished pages, though it doesn't seem like it because I've only been coloring for a year. I began this one, well, I didn't really know if I wanted to color the first page, but it was more me testing my materials. But this one was, I believe, my very first one, which apparently I got before Christmas because it says January. Right, I got these not as a Christmas present, but I had gotten them myself, and then I got materials for Christmas. So this was using the materials we had in the house. I had, I believe, some fine liners, some small marker sets, just whatever we had laying around from just being an artist. And I do want to have this be the first book I finish completely, even though there's a lot of pages in here. But yeah, I picked this one because I like that there was a mix between flowers and buildings, and there was just a variety of themes that I could pick from depending on what my mood was. So that's why I picked Worlds of Wonder as my very first book. Then the other one I have is Johanna Basford's Secret Garden. I got this one, I believe, for my birthday this year. And this one was selected for me by my mother-in-law when the book that I had asked for, she wasn't sure if it was going to arrive in time for my birthday, so she wanted to make sure she had something. And so I ended up with this one. This one was actually a book that I had decided not to get myself because there's a lot of tiny, tiny images here with so much detail, and I wanted to, be able to shade and color and do those things. And this one has such tiny, tiny, tiny details that it kind of put me off. But since I got the book, I have actually been enjoying coloring it. I think this is my favorite page. And I've also, I can't remember where I saw it, but someone had made a kind of guest book page on their book because they liked coloring in public. So I chose this page, and all of these are colored by different people that have either come over or I've brought the book with me, and they're either friends or family members, and each one has colored in a flower or a butterfly and signed their name. So this is kind of my guest book page that I'm keeping for anyone who visits, so that I have a variety of people's coloring in it. There's a couple that are by the same person, and that is a small cousin who got a bit too excited about coloring, and she wanted to do more than one. So that is Secret Garden. Then we have Rooms of Wonder, which I got as part of a pack of, I think, 6 books that I got off of Book Outlet, trying to get to that $50 free shipping. I have not touched this book since I got it, so it is brand new. This was one of the options I had for my first book, but World of Wonder won out because of the buildings, mostly, because this is interiors. The other one is like more exteriors, and I was more in the mood to do exteriors than interiors at the time. But I've seen so many people do so many pages in here, and they look so good that I just wanted to add that to my collection. So that is, hopefully I'll get to color in some next year, though I admit I have been giving more energy to Worlds of Wonder because, yeah, I do want to complete this book. I want this book to be my first completed, though I may end up finishing one of the other ones that have less pages, or less coloring pages at least, than this one. But this is my big project, finishing this one. So we'll see how far I get the next year. Next up are my Kirby Rosanes books. I only have 2. Mainly because for the longest time I felt way overwhelmed by his art and his detailed style. But when I went to Book Outlet to get some books, there weren't that many options that interested me, and these 2 were on there. So I got Anamorphia and World of Color, which I know is a compilation book, and I figured if I'm not getting all of his books, I might as well go for the compilation books so I can get a bit of, the best of his other books that I don't have. I slightly regret getting Anamorphia. I didn't realize that it was such a activity book with pages that have you like draw stuff. I'm not a fan of that, which is the other reason I don't particularly like Secret Garden, but I'm actually considering maybe choosing some pages that I just don't do or something like that, and maybe even use alcohol on the pages opposite them. But despite that, I did start coloring one page, which is this one. When I was sick, I just wanted something kind of mindless to color, and I started just adding a bit of detail and then doing the background with acrylic marker, because that's just one color and go for it. So that's the only page I've started in this one. And then in Worlds of Color, I wanted to see how the paper would do with water-based media, because I had seen a lot of people using water-based media in Kirby's books, and I figured that was a good way for me both to practice that and also fill in all the details. Turns out this book doesn't have the best paper for it. It had some buckling, some places where it kind of transfers, but it's not that bad, I suppose. So this is the page I finished soon after getting these 2 books, and I'm hoping to do the opposite page and then maybe tackle the background, because some of the leaves that I practiced on the opposite page kind of bled through there. So we'll see what happens there. And that was me practicing on this one. This one's definitely my favorite of the 2. I really like all of the images in here, and I can't wait to work on them. This still intimidates me, especially the very, very detailed ones, but I do like this book. I like that it has the examples and the colored pages by people. It's really cool to see what other people have done and either get inspiration or ideas. So that is the 2 Kirby Rosanes books I have. Not much done in them, but yeah, I've been more on a simpler pages kick recently. Next up is my biggest collection of books under a similar theme, which is my Mythographics. So far I have collected 5 of them. Starting with the 2 Joseph Cadenbang books I have. Magical Earth was something I picked up in HomeSense. They had these for a surprisingly low price. I think it was something like $6, $6.50, and I could not say no to that price like that. So I got one of his and one of Fabiana Dadasio's, which I will show in a second. So this one I've had for a while. I think I've colored a couple in here. I really like his style and the whimsical nature of his images. So there's 1, 2, 3. Yep, 3 pages. I was kind of on a kick because this and Fabiana's was the only ones I had for Mythographics. So I was kind of picking a page per month. So for like 3 consecutive months, I had a page drawn in here. Now that I have even more books, I haven't come back to these yet. And then Labyrinth came out, and because I had enjoyed Magical Earth so much, I just had to get it. This was my very first book that I grabbed on release date, and so far I've only done one page, mainly to test out the images and get an page out. I'm working on a video showcasing some of how I colored this. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more in here. There's a couple that I'm really excited to try out. I'm just having a bit of a problem already with how many books I have and very little time to color. So then we have the Fabian Atanasio books, and this was the other one I got from HomeSense, Cosmic Spirit. And I started a page here. I was going to try doing one of the horoscope pages at the time that horoscope is happening. And then I got sick, and I also didn't know how I wanted to tackle this background here, because I had some ideas, but I didn't know what medium to use. So I kind of got stuck there and only have the base done in alcohol markers, and I'm not sure how I'm doing the rest. And it's been now a couple months since then. So this is a work in progress that I'll have to finish, and hopefully it doesn't take me until October of this year to get around to it, but we'll see. I really like it, and I do want to do more of the horoscope ones when the horoscope is corresponding to it. So we'll see how that goes next year. And then the next one I grabbed was Deep Blue, and this one was also part of my big grab things cheap from the book outlet. So I haven't touched this one either. Originally I was kind of hesitant because I figured this is going to have a lot of blue in it. It's a lot of underwater scenes and stuff, but there's a lot of these that are not quite necessarily underwater, and I guess I'll have to try and mix things up, use other colors other than blue and possibly green for water, and get a bit creative. So we'll see how that goes. I do really like the images. They're very whimsical again. I really like the little mixtures of things. So there's quite a few pages in here that, oh my god, that one's so cute. Wait, hold on. Just look at him. Alright, so yeah, no pages done in that one. Hopefully I'll get to it next year. But then I got Fairy Wonderland, because this was one of my other day one releases that I got, and I am so in love with this. It has so many fun images, and I'm probably going to have trouble figuring out which page to do first, honestly. So yeah, really looking forward to picking a page and coloring all these whimsical designs. I also just really like the Mythographic books because they have thick paper, one-sided, so I don't have to worry about bleed through. I can use my alcohol markers, and sometimes you just feel like using alcohol markers or other media, and that's why I am starting to collect these, I guess. I keep trying to not buy more books, but something comes out and I really like it, and I'm like, but I want that. I'm sure a lot of you understand where I'm coming from, but that is my Mythographic books. So now that I think I have one more collection, and that is my Rita Berman books. I do not have as many as some other people do. The Europe book was the first one I got, and this one I believe was one of the I'm going to buy just a couple of books to start with, and I picked this one as one of my first coloring books. And I'm not sure which page I did first. I'm not sure I remember off the top of my head. I have quite a few done in here. Was it the one in the back? I'm not sure anymore. I know this one's fairly old, but I don't think that was my first page. Oh, wait, this was my first page in April. Yeah, so I got this one for my birthday, and I guess It's kind of hard to tell. I need to keep better track of things. But this one was done with a new, oh, that's what it was. I had gotten a new marker set and I wanted to test them out. So this was done entirely with markers, and these are water-based markers, so they don't bleed onto the other side. But because they're water soluble, I tried doing a mix with water, and that's what bled through here. So using water directly on the page with these markers made it bleed to the other side. So the rest was done just with the markers and no water added to them. And then there was another test I did for adding water, and this was this page. But here I was putting it on a palette and grabbing it with a water brush and then adding it to the page directly so that there would be no alcohol on it. I had some bleed through, but I managed to hide it on this side when I did the other side, so that worked out okay. And yeah, I've done a couple in this one too, because it's one of the older books I have. I've also done, this one has a color along on my channel. But yeah, I really like her travel books. They have a good mix of different places, flowers, decorative ones. So yeah, I really like these, and so I put the Asian one on my Christmas wish list, and I got it for Christmas. So this one's brand new. I only got it for Christmas, so I've only had it for a few days, so obviously I have not colored in anything yet, but I am looking forward to picking out some pages in the new year to color and try out. I considered putting the Africa one on, but honestly I don't want to get too many books that especially of the same artist, that I have to spread my attention. I'd rather color in more pages of the books I already have. So I'm going to limit myself to these two. I might consider getting the compilation seasons book, so that I have like just one book with a lot of different seasonal pages. That is the other one that I've been considering getting from Rita Berman, just to have that like seasonal coloring that I can do with her art. But for now, these are the two I have. Okay, so that's the end of my series, though I do have two Creative Haven books. We'll get to those in a minute, but I figured I'd continue on with my two books by Japanese authors. I have Victorian Fantasy Collection by Kuroi Mori and Symphony of Cute Animals by Kanoko Gusa. These two were the ones I was able to find on Amazon, so they were a bit simpler and cheaper to get shipped to me. So far, I have colored one page in this book, and again, that was a colored Libra during September, and had a lot of fun. I based the colors and everything on this one on Fontaine's former Archon, Furina, and I had fun doing her eyes in the style that Furina has in the game from Genshin Impact, and coloring everything else in, and this was done just with Black Widow pencils. I'm thinking of doing a couple of these in alcohol markers as well, since it's one-sided. I'm just a bit intimidated by the small details, and alcohol markers are not known for being great for details, but I'll have to pick a page and see how it goes. I'm thinking, worst case scenario, I do alcohol marker for most of it and then pencil for the small details, or even bring in some water-based markers for the details, since I know I have brush tips for those. So that's the Victorian Fantasy Collection. And then as soon as I saw Kanoko Gusa's books, I knew I had to get one. I decided to go for her newest because I really like the pages in it, and because I am a fan of red pandas, and there are, I think, 2 or 3 pages with red pandas in here. You get a sneak peek at one of my pages that I have colored, and this one was for December. And this was done with my watercolor pencils. It took ages. I think it took about a week on pretty much every day. I was adding a bit to it, and then started coloring the background of this one with some acrylic markers. But I really like just all the animals interacting, and it is just so cute. I also like that a lot of this is kind of themed for different times of the year. So if I want some seasonal pictures, there's a lot of seasonal pictures in this one. So that is Symphony of Cute Animals by Kanoko Gusa and Victorian Fantasy Collection by Kuroi Mori. And since I brought it up, I do have technically two Creative Haven books, but I only own myself this one, which is It's a Cat's World by Teresa Goodridge. This is my very first Teresa Goodridge book. I have not colored in it yet. I got this one for Christmas from my sister, who knows I love cats. So she got me this book, and I love it. It's got so many cats, and it is great. And the other Creative Haven book that I guess you could say we collectively own is the Celtic Nature coloring book. This is the compilation version by Carrie Buziak and has a lot of the different pages of the Celtic themed Creative Havens out there. And I actually got this one for my partner, who loves all things Celtic, so I could kind of entice them to color with me. So I chose this one for them because it has a lot of Celtic knots, and they love Celtic knots. They've designed Celtic knots themselves. So I got this one for them. They have colored one page. Here we go. This was their coloring. And I do have permission to color in here, though I have to check in with them and to make sure it's not a page they're looking forward to coloring. So I might still color in this here and there. But for the most part, it is their book, not mine. So I don't know if I should count this as mine or not in terms of Creative Haven coloring books. But yeah, there we go. I have technically two, though only one is owned by me. The other one is owned by my partner. Alright, next we have the random books. I got Tiny Worlds by Matt Edwards. This was another one of the book outlet pack of books I got. I know there was a couple of pages in here that I was interested in. I did not expect so many of these to have tiny details. I did now get a pack of gel pens as well so that I can try to help, and I've also started testing out on this page. This is a mixture so far of alcohol markers for the bigger areas and water-based markers for the details, because I have a set of water-based markers that have the felt tip end for adding in the smaller details in the inside. So I have to finish that one, and we'll see how much I do of this one. It's honestly, I don't know, it's a bit intimidating, but there are quite a few in here that I do enjoy the look of, which is why I got it. So I also didn't expect there to be that many. This is a thick book. I was just like, yeah, more than 60 illustrations. I know there's some of my books that have more of that, but since this is one-sided, it just feels like eternal, especially with all the little details. And despite that, there are 2 Tiny Worlds coming out this year, and I may get them, at least one of them. We'll see. Next up is Cute Chibi Creature Coloring by Phoebe I'm not sure, probably. She is an artist that my partner follows, actually, and reads their comic. And when I saw this, I saw some people doing, I think it was this little guy here. And when I was looking through it, I was like, this style is just adorable. I love it. And fortunately for me, there's some red pandas in here, so that means I get to color some red pandas. Just look at that. Isn't it cute? They are very big images, like with a lot of space, which definitely means I'm going to be using more, there's another red panda, more alcohol markers. And I did one for Christmas, and I guess you're getting another sneak peek here of a Christmas book page. I finished this one for Christmas, and I had a lot of fun with it. I did have some issues with the binding here. I accidentally got the alcohol markers to touch the binding thread, and that kind of bled through, and I think there's a couple of pages where you can see it kind of bleeding through because of that. But it's only on the spine area. It should be fine. And I think I had a bit, yeah, on this side there is some bleed through because I went over the edge. So I'll have to be more careful of the spine area in the future so that that doesn't happen with the other pages. I just really wanted to get the whole page covered, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. So I'll have to be more careful with the other ones. But yes, I enjoy the art on this one. I kind of want to rescue the backs of these pages, at least one little fourth of the page. Maybe scan them in and print them out on cardstock. so that, because I'm probably using alcohol markers on all the pages, and unfortunately that means I can't use the back to color in. But I adore the different designs on the back. So yeah, I'll probably scan them in and print them out just so that I can also have fun coloring those. Yeah, so that's cute chibi. And then this was another Christmas present, the Dungeons & Dragons coloring book, because I play a lot of Dungeons & Dragons. Mostly I am the DM of my group. So my friends got me this for Christmas. And this one doesn't really have an artist because it is based off of the art that you can find in most of their books. It is the line art version of it. There's a bit of a mix here on line thickness and detail. Some of these are going to be really challenging to do. I've seen many of these pages because I have a lot of the D&D books. So I've seen the colored versions, so I could use those. I do recognize a lot of these scenes. Not all of them. Some of them are from older D&D books that I do not have. But yeah, there's some interesting things in here, and I will definitely have to tackle these next year so I can show that off to my friends. A bit of a mix between my two passions, since before starting the coloring book channel, I have a actual play where we would play Dungeons & Dragons on stream. And we didn't have that big of an audience, so in the end we kind of stopped doing it, though we have continued playing privately. And sometimes we'll record sessions just in case something fun happens to share. Next up are all the books printed on Amazon paper. I honestly don't like Amazon paper, but a lot of the Amazon paper books are at least one-sided, so I can use alcohol markers, and I am getting slightly more proficient at coloring in them and dealing with the bleed problems that it does have and the like. And my issue is partially just that there's a lot of artists that can only afford to do the publishing this way, and I really like their work and I'd like to support them. So I end up buying quite a few. It does mean these have the unfortunate side effect that you can't see their names and such on the border, but it is what it is. And we'll just go in order that they are here, I guess. First one is Halloween Cuties by Joshua Dunbar, which I got for Halloween because I realized I did not have any Christmas pages to color in. So I figured this looked cute, easy. It's got 31 images. I tried doing a charity poll for this. We got some donations, and I finished the pages that the people who donated asked for. So it was that one, that one for my partner who likes foxes, and then I did this one on my own. I was trying out the watercolor glimmer shimmer paints I got. So they have a bit of a shimmery effect. One side is like a blue and the other one has a more pink version. And I was testing out some pencils on this paper here and finished that little guy, but I haven't finished the rest of this. So that's what I've got in this one. And then because one is never enough, and I saw a couple flip-throughs of Witches Around and other Usiku books, and I fell in love with these two witches, which I had canon as being a couple, and they kind of reminded me of me and my partner, so I got this book, and it has some really cute images. Not all of them necessarily Halloween, so I may color in it over the year as well, just to get more pages done in this. But I did do one for October, and it was this one with alcohol markers. Initially I was going to shade with pencils, and then I ended up not because it's just so much easier to do it with markers. So the only thing that got shaded was the bats, because I didn't have that much variety in the grays. So I got all the gray stuff, the cat and that. And this was based off of me and my partner with their ideal hair color. They would love to color their hair blue, but they work retail, so there is that. So that was my other Christmas book, Witches Around by Usiku, and that is the only page I've done in that one so far. Then we got Serendipity by R.J. Hampson. I knew I wanted an R.J. Hampson book. I didn't know which one I wanted. And then I saw a flip through of Serendipity, which is his newest one, and fell in love. So I had to grab this one. I really love the idea of the differences between his second images and his first images. There's a couple that I'm really looking forward to doing both sides. And while I was sick, I ended up doing this page as my first, done with mostly water-based markers and Prismacolors, and then the green background was done with an alcohol marker at the end. And I kind of just drew the circle myself and ended up with a slightly bulgier on one side. But I can't correct that because I would get some alcohol marker lines if I did it on the other side, so I just left it like that. I think it's fine. So that is the only page I have in this one. So that is R.J. Hampson, Serendipity. Next, we have Cozy Spaces, Interiors and Magical Places to Color by Rita Prince. And I got this one because Pixies Projects chose this book as a monthly color along or color together buddy color. So I've done the pages so far that she has chosen. She's taking a break from coloring right now, so we haven't gotten a new page to do yet. So I guess this one wouldn't be a good buddy color option since I'm leaving this one to color along with everyone else when Pixies Projects comes back. So I really enjoy them. I've actually considered getting some of Rita Prince's other books, but possibly in PDF form. I did not know that she had PDFs, so I might get some of her other art in PDFs and just print them out on better paper so I don't have to worry about the Amazon pages. Especially because I don't like it when it has black on the other side. It makes coloring with light colors a bit hard because the darkness of the other side of the page comes through when the alcohol marker wets the page. Next, we have one of the first books I got as well. This is Nice Little Town 3 by Tatiana Bogema-Stolova, though in this book she was still calling herself Tanya Bogema. I think she just switched back to her real name. I'm not sure. I've always been slightly confused because I've also seen her name with the Stolova first. I'm not sure which is which. But I chose this one because when I first started coloring, I was doing maps for D&D, and I was really into buildings and stuff like that I personally couldn't draw. So this felt like a good book because it's just a bunch of buildings. So you see one I did, this was me testing out my pastel alcohol markers. And I've done a couple of other ones. I did that one. I think this one's my favorite. I was trying out different techniques for shading and doing things with alcohol markers because this is only alcohol marker. And I really like how the bottom came out. And then you get to see some of my very first ones too. Well, this one was with my alcohol markers. And then this was the very first page I ever finished, January 7th of this year. And this was using an old pencil set that we had in the house. I had no idea how to color with pencils. This was my very first attempt to color with pencils, and this paper isn't exactly the best quality for it, but I don't know, I think it came out well. Not particularly happy with how scratchy I went with the bottom, but it's okay. Considering it was my first page, I'm happy with it. And then I tried a second page, and you can tell this is my first ones because, like, besides this book belongs to, which I didn't think I wanted to color because it has the pages that are already in this book, I skipped to this one and I thought I was going to do them in order. So I did the first page and then I moved on to the second page. And then I realized that if I'm coloring for myself, it doesn't matter if I go in order or not. I just have to do whatever I feel like. But this one was, again, me experimenting with the materials I had in the house because this is before I bought any dedicated materials to color with. So we had a set of 12 Copic markers that my partner had lying around. What else did we have? A couple of other types of markers. So I struggled a bit, but I got there. And then I kind of fixed the green of the trees because it was originally just the light green with the little dotted stuff, and it looked kind of bad. So when I finally got my alcohol marker sets, I went back in and colored with a medium on top of it, and now it looks much better. You can tell I had very few colors because my color choices aren't the best, but honestly, I think I did pretty well considering I only had 12 Copic markers, and I think I had a set of 36 fine liners, and that was it, yeah. So that went well. So that was, yeah, those were my first pages. And the rest, well, those were older and with more knowledge of what I was doing. And of course, because I still like her books, and I decided to put another one of her newer books, Nice Little Town 14. So I skipped from 3 to 14, but I got her 14 because this is one of her only books, I think, that has cats in it. And it's got so many cats hiding and doing silly stuff on most of the pages. Just look at that little guy. And look at that one. So I really wanted this one, and I am kind of excited to color in this one. I wanted to do some page in here for December, but I kind of ran out of time. We had a lot of things going on, and I had a lot of pages already picked out for December. So most likely I'll pick one for the new year. So yeah, that was a Christmas present. And this one was a Christmas present from last year, the Red Panda coloring book. And this is the only book I have that doesn't really have an artist. I have no clue if this is either AI. I don't think it's AI, but it does look like it could be clip art. I'm not sure. But it was a Red Panda coloring book, and it was the only Red Panda coloring book my mother-in-law could find, and she wanted to get me something that she knew I would like. So this one only has 10 images repeated, and I've already colored 3, so this might end up being the book I finish first. But yeah, so it has one, and then it has the same one. I let my cousins color in this one, so it's got some scratches and everything, and there's me testing some stuff out as well. It's good for that, I guess. So I have some pages done. I finished this one and this one here. And yeah, I don't think I'll do the double pages. There was another, my cousin's, or I think this was my niece who colored that in. And with my permission, because I knew I had double pages, so whatever they chose, I would have one for myself and one for them to color in. And maybe I'll do that with the other pages. I don't know. We'll see. It is a cute book. It's a bit more Zen doodly, but yeah, sometimes that's what you need. Now, initially I didn't know if I was going to include these, but I've colored in them, so here they are. These two came with the different products I've gotten recently. This one came with a Hifroni set of pencils, and it has 20 drawings. They're supposed to be postcards. The paper's not exactly thick, but it is kind of cardstock material, and I've colored one page in here to test out the Hifroni pencils. Leave that aside. I used all 72 pencils of the set, including the metallics, and it came out pretty good. I was surprised by how creamy they are, especially on this paper, because this is a nice toothy cardstock, and it was fun. I think it was fun having to challenge myself with that. I had 72 colors. I want to try them all out on the same image. So most of it is with gradients and stuff like that, but yeah, 72 colors, all of them on the page. So that was fun. These are all kind of probably from those sets you can buy in clip art pages, kind of like Shutterstock images and so on. So there's no artist information. Some of these are too small for pencils, but now that I have gel pens, I might, if I feel like doing something a bit more simple, I can use those. So that is from Hifroni. And then I also got a new set of water-based markers from Ohuhu. It came with this Ohuhu coloring book. And this is kind of like the other one in that it is more of a pad than a coloring book. It's not bound here, and you have this bound with just glue. You can see tiny images of the different pages in the front, which I think is neat because you can do an overview of which pages you want to do. It's got a set of little anime girls, some flowers, some random ones with designs on them, a bit of everything, and then some mandalas at the end. And this is a bit thinner. It is, I think it works well for either alcohol or water-based markers. They are rather thin. You can kind of see the lines of the page behind them. But this one, like most Ohuhu products, did come with a sheet to put behind, and it is sized perfectly to fit on this paper. So I might actually keep this because it does seem like it's more useful than the ones that come with the alcohol pencils markers, because the one with the alcohol markers is smaller. This might actually fit a couple of the smaller books I have as backing. But so far I have colored one page, and again, this was me testing out the whole set of colors. I can't remember how many I think this one was 48 colors, and I chose this page to test the markers out. Really impressed with them because they are water-based markers, but you can color in without much streaking. They do still streak, of course, because they are water-based, but I was able to get some pretty smooth transitions and stuff like that using these markers. So these are actually the same markers I used for the RJ Hampson page. So I might be doing a video on those to showcase them, because as far as I can tell, you can't find the listing for these markers either on their website or on Amazon unless you know where to go. So I'm thinking of doing a video about those and linking directly to them for whoever wants to try them out. I think my only gripe about these pencil markers is that it is only a 42 set, and that's all they have. I haven't been able to find a bigger set, and I would love it if they came out with more colors for these, because it looks like they'd be good for pages where you don't want to go through. For the most part, they don't bleed through. The bits that are kind of more visible, the purple there, is because I layered multiple times. I think that has like 3 layers of marker on it, or yeah. I had multiple layers just to darken because I was using the same purple, so to get that dark color I layered it over a couple times. And even then, it only ghosted, it didn't quite bleed through, and this is pretty thin paper. So it works pretty well for coloring. And I might have to try that. I might try it in Rita Berman's books to see how it goes there, because I do like using marker first for hers. So that is the Ohuhu book, and we're going to leave that sheet in there. And this one has a nice little elastic to keep it covered too. And that's it. No, wait, I almost missed one. I have one book which I printed out, and that is my only matchstick mouse that I own, though I've colored in another one for nieces. But I got the winter coloring book, which is the new one. Morgan O'Brien put out a PDF version. I apologize for the glare because these are in protective sheets. I colored one for December, and I've printed out the rest to have. This is on nice cardstock paper, so I can enjoy coloring some simple pages. I really like the Matchstick Mouse books, and I wanted one. I just didn't want to buy another Amazon paper book, so I ended up buying this one when it came out. I really like the images in this one, and the fact that it was a PDF that I could print out was amazing. I do wish more artists who do Amazon books had PDF versions of the same book that I could get from them in their own store. That way they get more money, and I can print it out on whatever paper I want. So now I'm done. That is my full coloring book collection. No, I lied again. I'm not sure how to show this one off. Okay, so this one's really the last one. And this one was mostly a gag, I'm pretty sure. But my friends got me this. It's giant coloring book. This is only half of it. I cannot even get it into the screen. And unfortunately, since it is a coloring book for kids, it does have a lot of detail, a lot of big spaces, and very, very thin paper. This paper is paper thin. Sure, I could use alcohol marker, but if I wanted to color, say, this page of Pikachu and Eevee, that's a lot of marker to use on a single page. Whoops. Yeah, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. I'm pretty sure they were aware that this was going to be crazy, and they just got it because, I mean, it is kind of funny. The page I am considering doing is this page, because it has a bit more detail to it, so the areas are not as big, and it's got all the Eevees, which I really like the evolutions. So I might do this. Might even do it as like a video, maybe, perhaps. We shall see. See what happens with this paper. But yes, 18 giant coloring pages. This is definitely a kid's book, but I do adore my friends for getting this. They indulge me with my coloring habit, and we'll see what happens with this book. And it's not just me who got it. My partner got the same one. So yeah, we'll have to have fun with it somehow. Color at least one page for my friends to see. Maybe I'll force them to help me color. I don't know. We'll see. So that's it. Maybe if I get some acrylic paints this year or something like that, I could use that, because I'm not sure if any other medium could color in the larger images in this book. Now I can say that is my whole collection. So these two don't exactly belong to me, they belong to my partner. First, we have their very first coloring book, which was given to them by their mother. This is the Thomas Kinkade Studios Disney Coloring Book Collection. And I will say, if you're thinking of getting this, beware, it is a challenge. This book is single-sided technically, but one side has the image. The other side has Thomas Kinkade's colored version to act as a guide. Now, Thomas Kinkade did not use colored pencils to do his artwork. I don't know exactly what medium he used, but these are very detailed, and the problem is a lot of the details in these were, to the best of whoever made this' ability, done in line art. But as you can tell, the originals don't actually have line art. This is the only page that my partner has started doing, and it is an intimidating book, especially if you're trying to color it as close as possible to the original and only using colored pencils. And the problem is, if you do choose to use anything else like alcohol markers, you could probably use water-based markers with no problem, but if you use alcohol markers, you are going to ruin the other page. So there is that. So yeah, I know my partner wants to pick a page and try it myself. So at some point I might have to do a video on that and see how close I can get to the original. And this was their first coloring page. It was kind of hard for me to get them to color just because this was their only option, and that's why I got the Celtic one for them, because it was simpler and less stressful than this one. I think they're doing a great job. They have a lighter hand than I do. They don't burnish or get really with deep colors, so it's not going to be as dark as the original. But other than that, I think they're doing a good job, and I hope they actually manage to finish the rest. But yeah, that is their first coloring book. And yeah, at some point I'm going to have to choose a page in here and see how I do when I color this. But yeah, this feels like a kind of book you want to buy if you want to challenge yourself. It's beautiful art, but it can be a bit hard, especially because a lot of the details in Thomas's original art does not come through on the line art. So you either have to add it yourself or work with what you have. Some of the line art kind of gets in the way in some places because they use some pretty thick lines, considering the lineless version that the original is. So there is that. So that is Thomas Kinkade's book. And then I got them another book because they like foxes. So when I saw this one, Peaceful Autumn by Lainey Dow, I had to get it for them. So I got them this one for Christmas, and this one's all fox pages, simpler, and hopefully will serve for them to start learning how to use alcohol markers, because they keep saying they don't have as much practice as I do with it, and I'm like, well, I started from zero, just gotta practice. So now they have a book to practice in that is on the simpler side and has single-sided paper. And I also have permission to color in this one. I just have to check with them to make sure I'm not going to pick a page that they're looking forward to do. And I'm sure we'll leave most of it for them to do, because I did get it for them, not for me. But yeah, that is an entire collection of our coloring books. They only have 3 so far, but we'll see how much that grows over time. Probably not as fast as mine, of course. I have to kind of beg for coloring together, but they've colored a few pages. I'll probably be showing off some of their recent coloring from the coloring pages we did for our cousins and nieces for Christmas. So they like doing things digitally more, but it's just nice having that time together of just sitting both of us at the table and coloring in our coloring books. So that's why I made sure they had some coloring books to choose from. And that's it. So if I have any books that you have and you would like to do a buddy color with me, my Instagram is at @mystarseed, and you can find me on most social media as at @mystarseed as well. I'm always open to doing a buddy color with people. I'm hoping to get quite a few done next year. I just like the idea of sharing with others and getting to know you all. I've only been doing this YouTube thing for a couple months now, and yeah, I just want to feel closer to the community, and I figured buddy colors would help with that. So I'll see you next year, and looking forward to all the pages we can color together. Thanks. Bye.